Helen, it is so
Hello.
nice to talk to you.
Hi, Louise. Thank you for inviting me. It's
Hi.
really nice to see your face moving.
It's lovely to and your voice. I am regularly when we were on the school run. One of my things was once I dropped the kids off, I would put one of Helen's videos on my Instagram, and by the time I'd got home, I knew I'd learned something new. And now I'm hearing your voice, I'm like, it's so great because Helen, to all the Beyond the School Run community out there, has got a brilliant Instagram business around educating people about how to use and work with Instagram. And she shares the most brilliant tips and information. She has webinars. And I asked Helen if we could start to share some information to help those out there who would possibly like to move their businesses forward, who possibly aren't using Instagram or are using it but want to take Instagram to another level. And Helen is one of the key people to talk to with this amazing expertise. So thank you so much. And Helen's account is Not About the Kids. It's called Not About the Kids. So we're going to share some top line tips today, but if you want to get in touch with Helen, you can get in touch with her directly as well or send some information through to me. Helen, so some of your valuable tips, you've got loads out there if anyone wants to go to your Instagram account, Not About the Kids. But firstly, if there's someone out there, and I know a lot who are developing gorgeous businesses who have maybe started on Instagram but could possibly go to another level with it, and it could potentially really help their businesses. Do you have some thoughts and suggestions for those people who are in particular mothers who are working the hours that could use Instagram in because it's such a brilliant flexible platform to kind of share what your voice, what you're thinking, and what you're working on?
Yeah, okay. I would say that if you are at home a bit more at the moment, and that you've got some time on your hands and you would maybe like to invest it in up leveling your Instagram, I suppose I'm going to speak to some kind of common things that I see people doing when I'm like, wow, your whatever it is that you're offering is clearly brilliant, you're really well qualified, you've got an awesome product, but there can be an awful lot of things that are helping people back from really making the most of Instagram and what it could do for their brand from a marketing point of view. So first of all, I would say think about posting a lot more than you're posting at the moment. Most people are quite shy about how often they post to Instagram or any of their platforms. They have this sort of feeling that they're going to annoy people if they post more than once a week, or, that's not the best thing to do. I would at the moment, get into posting every single day, post twice a day if you've got the content to do so, the pictures or the videos or stories. So that would be my number one first tip at the moment, is just post more. There's a real captive audience out there on social at the moment, and when you start posting more, your anxiety and fear levels over the whole thing start to lift. You start to get better at it. You start to learn more about what people are enjoying about your brand or business or hobby, whatever it is. So that's my number one tip, is start posting a lot more. If you're not feeling kind of like almost completely uncomfortable about how much you're posting, then you're not posting enough.
Interesting. Okay, it's almost like pushing yourself from a fitness point of view. And I know this because every time I've taken a step with social media, I remember that feeling at the beginning, and then when I was starting doing videos, it's this really uncomfortable feeling. And then all of a sudden you sort of gradually get used to it. But it's this comfort zone, and it's almost like stepping beyond this comfort zone. So that's such a brilliant tip, is to almost get to this point where you're feeling that you're uncomfortable with it in a way. Great. Yes.
Yeah, and the fitness analogy I like, because it is like a muscle. You're working out a muscle in terms of getting better at your messaging, getting better at your marketing, and getting better at getting over the fear. You have to exercise that muscle.
Yes, over the fear, because I'm really thinking about sharing more around like stepping out of comfort zone in these small windows whilst we're at home. And this is such a great tip, and one I'm going to do for myself as well. Tip 2, Helen, please.
Okay. My second tip would be to spend some time on your Instagram profile, because I look at a lot of people's profiles because I do coaching, and I just generally, I follow and investigate different accounts on Instagram and that kind of thing. And often people's profiles are really selling them short. What your profile needs to do is talk to your ideal customer. So you need to know who your ideal customer is, first of all. You need to be brave about that because, you know, newsflash, not everyone is your customer. You can't please everyone. So set about making your ideal customer really happy. So you need to write a message in that Instagram bio that talks directly to your ideal customer or follower and explains what it is that you can do for them. What problem are you solving? What challenge can you help them meet? And just come up with a couple of sentences that really hit that home very clearly. I'm all about clarity. I just want to know exactly what this Instagram account is all about if I'm going to choose to follow it or not. So I would spend a little bit of time working on your profile picture, working on your bio messaging, making sure that it's talking to exactly your right person, making sure you've got a good link in there that works, that goes to a website that exists. You know, there's all these kind of things that make sure that your email address is the right email address, that the mobile phone number you've got in there, you know, switch over to a business account. If you haven't already done so, you do that in your settings. So I would give yourself an hour or two to really like make sure you've got a beautiful Instagram profile. It's often ignored and people look at them and they read them, and it's an opportunity for you to sell yourself.
Yeah, that's brilliant as well, because I think we just sort of do that initial one where you sign up and you often don't go back over it. I've been doing the same thing with LinkedIn. You don't go back over it and kind of look at it as you evolve and as your work evolves.
I change mine all the time. I tweak it all the time because we do become clearer about what it is that we've got to offer when we get better at what we're doing, or we pivot slightly. And, you know, but it can be often like, it's just one of those jobs like the about page on your website or something. It's just it can be a bit painful to do, but it's so worth the effort.
Yeah. And I think for so many of us, we're kind of working in quite a new way, which I talk about a lot, where the world is changing. Similar to will be with our kids, and their jobs will be relevant to the way the world is going to be, similar to how you've really kind of evolved into these roles. And sometimes I can't fully define what I'm doing, but it will become relevant as the world changes. And I think that's the same with this, is we just need to keep updating it, looking at it fresh as you get it clear about what your work is. Helen, that's brilliant. So definitely to look at your profile, look at that you're clear about who your audience are, and check that that's okay. And tip number 3, please.
Okay, tip number 3 would be to use this time to get involved with creating video content. And if you follow my Instagram account, you'll probably be a bit bored of me saying it, but I can't stress enough the positive impact using video and being on video myself has had on my small business. It's been a real sea change in terms of kind of people feeling connected to me and like they want to work with me. You know, the way I like to describe it is that video allows you to connect with people so quickly that one video post will sort of do the job of about 30 static photograph posts that you can put on Instagram in terms of introducing people to your business, what's important to you, what you're all about, what you have to offer them. So get involved with video, but do it in a way that adds value for your followers. So you should be, at the moment, generously sharing your skills and your knowledge. Don't hold back about it. Don't think that if you share something on an Instagram video that means people won't need to work with you anymore. I was at a workshop the other day, and there was a hypnobirthing girl who was really worried about sharing her knowledge on Instagram, because then she thought that then people wouldn't book her to work with her. And then, but the absolute opposite is true. If you're able to demonstrate your expertise and whatever it is that you do, it will make people more likely to work with you. And video is, I find, a fantastic way to do this. So if you're been feeling nervous about video, then just start doing a few little stories on Instagram stories, which are only, you know, little short clips, 15 seconds long. You can start by doing something where your face isn't visible, but you can hear your voice talking on camera, graduate to appearing on camera. And again, like that, you're just working out that muscle. And before you know it, you'll be comfortable with speaking to your followers and realize how effective it can be.
Yeah, I think, Helen, it's absolutely brilliant, because I've loved, like I said, listening to yours. And I think one of those points you mentioned also in terms of putting content out there is, I think in one of your videos, I've watched so many of them, is you also mentioned a kind of karma in, you know, you share stuff and things come back, which actually I also really believe in. And that second point that you mentioned in terms of videos, I remember really clearly when I started doing videos, and it is definitely this process of just step by step, taking a step and doing it gradually and building up. And then, and I talk about steps a lot with Beyond the School Run, because if you just take that first first step, however small it is, within 6 months, a year, just think where you'll be.
You'll be
Helen,
at the end point where you want
you'll
to
be at the end, you'll be at this other point where you'll look back and you think, gosh, I couldn't even imagine not doing videos or sharing in this kind of way. I think that's such brilliant advice, Helen. If there is someone out there and they're sort of just need a little bit of a confidence boost in even sort of working with this platform, what would be your kind of last bit of tips? I mean, Helen's got so much more. This is just a little icing on the cake. What would be just one bit of advice? Okay. I think it's a brilliant platform and it's a great way for people to...
Yeah, it really is. And do you know what? The best piece of advice around all this stuff, around all this self-consciousness or putting yourself out there, the best piece of advice I ever got, and it's the piece of advice that I share most often, because once you really can believe this and know this and feel it in your bones, it is really liberating. Nobody cares what you're doing. With the greatest respect, people are really mostly interested in what they're doing. They're thinking about their lives, they're thinking about their dinner, they're thinking about the fact that they haven't done the laundry, they're thinking about what they want to do with their business or their account. They're not thinking about the fact that you're doing an Instagram live. They're not thinking about the fact that you stumbled over something in Instagram stories and said 5 times. They just don't care. So once you know that, get on with what you want to do.
Yeah, and once you're over that, you can do this much quicker. You do it, you post it, the following grows, and you just get it. And the perfection thing is not it's never a necessary thing. It's just actually just create it and put it out there. And it's amazing when you sometimes think one person can watch it and it could be a value to them. Just keep going that way. Helen, what you're doing is amazing, because I think there's so many women out there who will benefit from finding their voices, sharing what they're creating out there, and I just think it's brilliant what you're doing. Could you share a little bit, because I know you're doing some online webinars now that we're sort of all working from home, and I think that's an amazing thing to be able to do.
Yeah, no, this has been a little kind of the lockdown has been a little spur for me to start providing online teaching, which is something I've been meaning to get around to for months and months. So anyway, so I've started doing kind of weekly webinars, both ticketed and free ones. And if you follow me at Not About the Kids, next week, for example, I'm doing a webinar about video for Instagram with a filmmaker friend of mine. We covered Instagram growth tactics this week, so it's that sort of thing. And it's a really, from a price point of view, it's a really nice entry point for training. And the main thing is it's just lovely to get together on Zoom and see all of these women who are running their businesses, and you just feel a bit connected for an hour. So it helps me, and hopefully it helps the people that take part.
Well, it sounds brilliant, Helen. And as I say, I've learned so much from you. I think your clarity, your knowledge, guys, go and check out Helen at Not About the Kids on Instagram, and her webinar details are on there. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Oh, you're really so kind for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. See you again soon.